And I'd like to begin with a discussion of that all-important theme of health as a mitzvah and expand upon something that I have in the book. Yes, obviously, in order to perform mitzvot, we've got to be alive and well. Therefore, we've got to keep ourselves well. We have to ensure that we maintain properly that greatest gift which God gives us, which is life. One could indeed say that the supreme sin in Judaism is suicide. And suicide can sometimes be accomplished not in a moment, but over a period of time. People can kill themselves over a lengthy period of time by not taking care of themselves, which is why the Torah teaches us that take care of your souls, take care of your lives is a supreme mitzvah. And in fact, pikuach nefesh doche et hakol, the preservation of life transcends everything. One may violate every and any law in the Torah in order to be alive and be well, because you will transgress only once and give yourself, hopefully, many more years in which you will fulfill mitzvot. So important is that theme of health that there is an implicit suggestion in a biblical text that perhaps may be the purpose of all of mitzvot. I'd like to stress that for you and discuss its implications by taking you to Shemot, Exodus, chapter 15, verse Chafvav 26. God has just given the Jews a few laws prior to Mount Sinai. Indeed, there are some halachot, there are some mitzvot and laws which precede revelation. They had to be given earlier. It's almost as if God couldn't wait. And at a place called Marah, we are taught that God did indeed give several laws, and then he said the following words. Vayomer, Im shamoa tishma lekol Hashem Elokecho, if you will listen well, the word is repeated, listen, to the voice of the Lord your God, v'hayosha b'yenov tasa, and do that which is right, v'hazanto limitzvosav, and give ear to his mitzvos, v'shomarta kol chukov, and observe all of his chukim, which will translate temporarily as statutes, then what will the result be of a mitzvah life? Listen carefully. Kol hamachala asher samti v'mitzrayim, all the sickness which I gave to Egypt, lo osim olecho, I will not give to you. Ki ani aroshem rofecha, for I am the Lord your doctor. Now you know why so many Jewish boys want to be doctors. We're supposed to imitate God, and if you ask me what is God's profession, there are a few which we are taught in the Torah. They therefore become ideal professions. Obviously, God is a teacher. God also makes shidduchim. God brings men and women together. That's a good job. And another great job for a Jewish boy is to be a doctor. Ki ani Hashem rofecha. For I am the Lord your God. I am a doctor. That's in context of God saying, observe mitzvot. You do the mitzvot and you won't have the sicknesses placed upon Egypt. I will be your doctor, literally your healer. Some commentators ask, if God is saying you won't have the sickness, then what do you need a doctor for? Doctors heal you when you're ill. But if God is saying that you won't even get sick, then why is he saying, I am your Rofe? And the answer to that, I think, is extremely significant, because a great doctor doesn't just cure you when you're sick. He sees to it that you don't get sick in the first place. I read somewhere that in China, they pay doctors when they're well. If you get sick and you need them to cure you, then obviously they didn't do their job of preventive medicine well enough. But let me bring you back to the text now. This is remarkable. God is saying, keep the law, then you will be well. All the sicknesses will not be placed upon you. I am your Rophe. Therefore, mitzvot make you well. Which mitzvot? God spoke here of laws, mitzvot, and chukim, v'shamarta kol chukav. The first major point to be made here is with regard to two categories of Jewish law. You know that we speak of chok and we speak of mishpat, and the simple distinction between these two is that mishpatim are laws that are logical. You don't have to be Jewish to know that stealing, that murdering are not good things to do. Chukim are laws which some people incorrectly translate as illogical laws. Now, God doesn't do anything that's illogical. Some people say there are laws which have no reason. Well, that doesn't make sense either. If they're not reasonable, why should we be asked to do them? Almost all Jewish philosophers say that chukim have reasons, but they are incomprehensible to us at present. We may find out eventually what they are. We may not. The test may be to observe them even when we don't understand why. After all, if you knew that poison kills you and somebody told you don't drink poison, the fact that you're staying away from it doesn't really make you a very good person who's listening to what the other individual tells you. You're not drinking it because you know of a certainty that it's harmful. Will you do it just because God said so? That's the implicit test in a chok. But a chok is reasonable, that is to say, there is a rationale for it, which you may or may not know. The text makes clear that every chok does have a reason. For if you observe the laws, including the chukim, then kol hamachla, all the sickness you will not have, I'm your healer. Listen to the words of Rashi, very significant. Ki ani Hashem rofecha, for I am the Lord your doctor. Umelametcha Torah, and the Torah is teaching you, umitzvot, and giving you laws, leman tinotzel mehem, in order to be saved through them, kirofe hazeh, like this doctor, ha'omer li'adam, who says to a person, al tochel dvarim shemachzir moscho lidei choli, do not eat things which will make you sick. You go to a doctor, he tells you, he's a good doctor, this is what you should eat, this is what you shouldn't eat. God gave us laws in order to make sure that we survive. God is a doctor giving us a proper diet with regard to food as well as with regard to everything else in life. That is the purpose, Rashi is telling us, of mitzvot. Yes? You have a question?
Rabbi, if you're saying that mitzvot are primarily for health reasons, why is it that so many non-Jews are just as healthy?
We should add, very often, healthier. I try to keep Torah mitzvot, and I'm not in as good shape as Schwarzenegger. There must be some reason, and we have to understand the intent of this Rashi, who's really repeating a very important opinion of Chazal, of our sages. We have to interpret that on a deeper level. We must understand what he is saying. And I'm so glad you asked it, because it allows me to expand on an idea which I think we need as a preliminary to answering your question. I will get to a full response. If you allow me first to share with all of you something that Maimonides said in terms of explanation of the laws of kashrut. Laws of kashrut are a perfect example of the category of chok. We're not given a reason. God simply says, these animals are kosher, these are non-kosher, or treif. Maimonides says, I think I have a possible explanation. Please understand, and Maimonides stresses this, that it's always dangerous to give a reason. In case you give the wrong reason for a law, people either may scoff and say, well, that's silly, and reject the law, or if the reason then becomes voided because you can cure the problem. For example, if you said that the reason for not eating pig is trichinosis and you can get rid of trichinosis, then you'll say pig is permissible. It's very dangerous to give a reason. Maimonides understands that. And he says, I'm just saying this in order to make the law more palatable. The law is the law no matter what. However, this is what I think is a very valid possibility to explain why these animals are off limits and these animals are permitted to be eaten. Doesn't it make sense that you are what you eat? That is to say, things that you eat can affect you in tremendous ways. If you drink to excess, you begin to think differently. Maimonides doesn't use this illustration, but if you take the smallest grain of LSD, that can really change your thinking, your perspective. It can change you totally. You become a different person based on what you ingest. That, of course, is a reality that we all understand. Now, the Rambam, Maimonides, makes this fascinating suggestion. We're taking in things that become part of ourselves. They become our body. If you take a look at the category of forbidden animals, that is to say those which are labeled treif, they are carnivorous. That is to say, they tear apart other animals in order to get their food. The animals which are kosher are herbivorous. They are animals which live off grass, which live off the fields. They are more docile, one might even say more peace-loving animals. Suppose we ingested not only the meat of the animal, but the essence of the animal. Suppose, in fact, by not eating carnivorous animals, we don't have the same lust for tearing apart others, for war, for the kinds of activities that are basic and necessary to carnivorous animals. We eat herbivorous animals, and we become more like them, loving and giving and non-aggressive. Now, if we were to say that you're healthier when you eat kosher, with the background of Maimonides, what would we mean by that? You see, Western mentality defines health simply in physical terms. You're healthy means you feel good. But someone could be very healthy. I'm so healthy right now. I feel so strong right now. I want to go out and mug somebody. Do you understand? There is all the difference in the world between physical health and total spiritual health, mental health, human health. So I am certain that what Rashi intended and what our sages intended, when they said, obey the law, it comes from the doctor on high, we didn't simply mean physical health, because then you would be absolutely correct. There are people who are, quote, healthier than us, if one gauges health by the standard of Rabbi Akiva, was a few hours again. So it's almost like you tell people the story with the mister. To be healthy, you must be healthy. A psychiatrist must say you're healthy in your mind, you're healthy in your emotions, you're healthy totally.